Washington State is in the midst of a political struggle over same-sex marriage, but behind the political debate is a spiritual struggle. Melvin Woodworth is the pastor of First United Methodist Church in Tacoma.
I looked at the scriptures and discovered that what I had always understood the scriptures to say isn't there at all. There's nothing in scripture to prohibit same-sex relationships, and there's much in scripture that would suggest that people of faith should accept gay, lesbian persons and treat them no differently than anyone else.
I'm laughing because I would love to find out what Bible he's using. There's so much evidence in through the Old and the New Testament.
Ken Hutcherson is a senior pastor at Antioch Bible Church in Redmond. He says both Referendum 74 and Initiative 1192 petitions are being passed around at his church.
So just alone in Romans chapter 1, wow, that one is off the hook. You go from verse 25 to the end of the chapter of Romans 1, and it lays it out extremely clear. And that is that God has said that if a woman goes after another woman sexually, a man goes after another man sexually, then that is an abomination to the Lord. It is unnatural for that to take place. And God has established in the scriptures that that which is unnatural and abomination to him, we are to stand against as just sin. It's no different than...
Craig Waterbury and Matt Patera of Federal Way exchanged symbolic vows in 2003.
We met actually in church. There was an organization that held church services specifically targeting towards GLBTQ community. So we were both there and made eye contact there, and I guess the rest is history from that point. I was in a straight or heterosexual marriage for 23 years, and I have 3 great kids from that. I don't regret that at all. But it was tough to break free from the upbringing that I had and say that, this is who I am, and it's okay to be who I am.
Hutcherson says that same-sex marriage is not a civil rights issue because homosexuals choose to be gay.
There's too much evidence that people have changed and moved out of the homosexual lifestyle, or people who used to be heterosexuals have chosen to move into the homosexual lifestyle. So how can you give rights to a group of people who can move in and out of that group?
Other opponents of same-sex marriage argue that extending marriage rights is a slippery slope. Joseph Backholm of the Family Institute of Washington and also of the Preserve Marriage Washington campaign is leading the efforts to repeal the law passed by the state legislature in February.
Marriage is restricted in 4 ways in Washington state. You can't marry somebody who's a minor, you can't marry somebody who's already married, you can't marry somebody who's a close relative, and you can't marry somebody of the same gender. Any grouping within those 4 restrictions could say our love and commitment is the same. And if we are going to redefine marriage in one way based on the fact that their love and commitment is the same, on what basis do we deny the same recognition to one of the other groups or theoretical groups of people that would come and say our love and commitment is the same? So it's bad.
And the reality is that for years now, there have been a number of countries that have allowed same-sex marriage, a number of states that allow same-sex marriage, and there's no move in any of those to allow the kinds of things we're told will happen assuredly if we pass same-sex marriage.
In November, voters in Washington state will have the chance to approve or reject the same-sex marriage bill. Washington would be the first state in the country to approve a same-sex marriage law by popular vote.
I think I'd like to see it on the ballot. I think it would be a watershed moment in the country when the legislature had passed this bill, the governor has signed it, and now the population of the state has voted for it. That would be the first time that that's happened, and I think that might be a good inspiration or another domino, I guess, for other states maybe to follow suit. And if